Her practice in Bloomfield specializes in many areas, including relationships, stress, depression, and parenting. Michelle is also an adjunct instructor in psychology at Baker College in Auburn Hills, and she's been there for the past 13 years. She currently owns a consulting practice and provides educational workshops to the community and to business groups and BBFA, focusing on topics such as family conflict, family relationships, stress management, assertiveness training, and positive communication skills. She also provides Myers-Briggs personality testing and other parenting-related workshops. So please join me in welcoming Michelle.
Hello there, thank you, Kevin. Before I get started, I want to teach you how to say "it's cold today" in French. All right? And if you've been to one of my BBF workshops, you know that's always how I start out. If you know French, you don't get to play. Okay. This side of the room is bigger, so this side of the room, it's "il fait froid aujourd'hui." I want you to write that down. Write down phonetically if you want. You're not allowed to write it down. No, you're not allowed to write it down. Just this side of the room is allowed to write it down. Il fait. You don't have to worry about spelling, this is not for a grade, I promise. Il fait froid aujourd'hui. Do your best. Right, il fait froid aujourd'hui. This side of the room, I want you to remember that, okay? But do not write it down. Il fait froid aujourd'hui. All right? You're remembering that? Don't write it down. Okay. Am I close? High school French. It's been a long time. You're not allowed to play. Or sit on that side of the room. One of the two. All right. Thank you, Kevin, for offering me this opportunity to speak. I love speaking for the BBFA. I love doing workshops. And I'm not just saying this, but honestly, talking about self-respect, talking about assertiveness is really my favorite topic. It's my passion, and here's why. The fact is, all the work I do with adults, all the work I do with couples, all the work I do with teenagers, talking about parenting, it all comes down to self-respect. It all comes down to taking care of yourself, learning how to assert yourself, learning how to communicate positively. It's all interrelated. And how do I turn that on? Kevin, do you know how I get my thing on? Okay. I was going to say, because as you can see by the title of my workshop, bottom line, self-respect, because that's the bottom line. It comes down to learning about self-respect. Self-respect is really a vague, thank you. Self-respect is really a vague concept, isn't it? And what I like to try to teach when I'm talking about self-respect is I try to make it concrete. I try to make this vague concept measurable, understandable, and at least give a couple ideas on how to work towards, improving or increasing or maintaining your self-respect. Why does increasing your own self-respect positively impact your child? Any ideas? They model you. So many times I hear over and over again, well, I'm not going to do it the way my parents did it because I know what I need to do differently, right? So many times I hear, I'm not going to do it that way, I'm going to do it a different way. But motivation, wanting to do it differently, is not the same as being able to do it differently. Does that make sense? And what I tell my students when I say that I know you really want to do it differently. So here's $1 million. You want the million? No, not yet. You want this $1 million? It's real. Speak a phrase of Italian to me. Don't say pizza, don't say spaghetti, a whole phrase. $1 million. Come on. No? I offered her $1 million. Say it. Are you motivated? Do you want to speak Italian? Are you desperate to speak Italian for this $1 million? You can't do it, can you? Motivation isn't enough. You need to learn the skills. And then, could you learn to speak Italian for this $1 million? Yes, you could. All right. Motivation isn't enough. You need to learn the skills. You could learn Italian now, and so can your kids. It's never too late to learn. It's never too late to start showing that to your kids. Because skills are skills, right? Skills are skills. All right. How would you define self-respect? Anyone's thoughts? How would you define self-respect? No one?
A healthy image of yourself.
A healthy image of yourself. What did you say? Love for yourself. What without? Assertiveness. They're best friends. Assertiveness.
Same thing, positive attitude.
Positive attitude and confidence. Those absolutely are all self-respect. Let me go into, let's first talk about what self-respect does not look like, or a lack of self-respect looks like. First of all, it's just being, what someone said over there, being negative to yourself, right? Saying things out loud that are negative, thinking negative. We'll get into that a little bit later about how to change that. And or allowing others to treat you negatively. Right? Allowing your kids to treat you negatively, allowing significant others, allowing friends to treat you negatively. Another one is minimizing how you feel. How often do we say, well, that wasn't great, but it really doesn't matter, but it wasn't that big of a deal, right? How often do we say that? The other one is being passive or being aggressive. A little bit later I'm going to define those, and I'm going to then define assertiveness and how to do that a little bit differently. And then saying yes. How many of you say yes, but then you feel a tad bit angry afterwards, a tad bit frustrated? I like to say pissy. Am I allowed to say that? Pissy is the right word, isn't it? Here's the rule. If you say yes, you're not allowed to be pissy. If you feel yourself being pissy about it, what should you have done? No. You need to go back. You're not allowed to do it. If you say yes, you don't get to complain. Who's got the problem now, right? Don't say yes and be pissy at the same time. But if you are, that's a lack of self-respect. All right. Let me ask you this. Is taking care of your own needs 100% of the time as a priority? I'll say it again. Is taking care of your own needs 100% of the time as a priority first selfish? I see one yes. Lots of yeses. I see a couple no's. Some people don't know which way to go. What do you think? Is it selfish? Let me add a little bit of disclaimer. Most people say somewhere between 70 and 90% of our needs are met by doing what? What are most of our needs met by?
Doing things for others.
Doing things for other people. I love cooking a good meal. I love doing things that make my family happy. 70 to 90% of the time. The problem comes when you cross that 71% line, or that 91% line, wherever we are. And everybody's a little bit different. But my job here today is to convince you that not only is taking care of your own needs as a priority first, 100% of the time, not only is it important, not only is it good, it's a necessity. It's a necessity. If you want to walk around with a sense of self-respect, if you want to walk around really being assertive and taking care of yourself and then frankly taking care of the others, it's a necessity. And let me give you an analogy and explain that to you. I want you to think of yourself as a fire. And I want you to think of taking care of your needs, saying no when you want to say no, saying yes when you want to say yes, being assertive, putting yourself in healthy situations, in good friendships and good love relationships. Think of all those things as giving yourself logs for your fire, right? What do you have when you have a lot of logs? Theoretically, what?
A great fire.
A huge fire. Theoretically, an endless fire. What positive thing, because a lot of people say burn houses down, don't do that. But what positive things can you provide with that fire? Warmth. Think of how many people can be warmed and comforted by your fire. With an endless, theoretically huge fire. What else can fire provide? What else does fire give us? Well, heat and warmth. We can cook for, nurture, and nourish, again, an endless number of people with that fire that we have going. What else? Energy. We can generate an endless amount of energy with that kind of fire because we have the constant good source of logs because we're taking care of ourselves. We don't need all that energy for ourselves. What else?
A sense of unity.
A sense of unity. I'm going to switch that to people want to be around a fire, don't they? Is that what you're kind of talking about? People are natural